So that's all you thought you were getting from us this week. Well, you were wrong, because we are back and it's Thursday and we're in your inbox. And it's the It's Only Kids Football podcast, answering listener questions and giving shout outs to the people that have supported us all week. And we're going to get started because we know you're in a rush. You probably haven't listened to the first episode this week, and now you got this one to get on top of. It's going to be a fun one because we are taking on some of those common grassroots problems through listener questions that we've had sent in. But this one wasn't a question, Mike. We're going to start off with Epsom Eagles FC, but this was an interesting message that we got, right? So Epsom Eagles FC, you know what? You take it away, man. We haven't heard from you. I've just been talking so far.
Epsom Eagles FC, a grassroots club reintroducing structured competition from as young as age 3, including league tables, results, cups and medals. Their view is that kids are naturally competitive anyway, so it's better to structure it properly than suppress it. They've tried to remove the negatives with strict positive only behaviour. No sideline coaching from the parents, UEFA qualified coaches running everything, and development happening through games rather than drills. They also run everything in one central venue and have moved away from winter football to a summer league model. The question that they did have was, has grassroots football overcorrected by removing competition? And what's the right balance between development and competitiveness?
Yes and no. Again, it's one of those ones, right? Nuanced, hard to answer it directly. Hard to sort of say you sit in one camp or the other. I would say the non-competitiveness element definitely enables players to get more game time and space to develop, because that means coaches are not being driven by their ego completely, although obviously they still are, but they know that there's nothing really at stake, so therefore it's quite easy to play equal game time, etc. And I quite like that from an early age. I'm pretty much on board with that, but I do think they get to a certain age where there should be competition. And actually I think that more tournaments and cup competitions throughout the season, like play your league season non-competitive, but it would be nice from, you still need to learn about winning, so it'd be nice from every age group to have the cup competitions. Obviously have the tournaments in the summer, but maybe throughout the season. So maybe it's overcorrected itself. I don't know. I'd like there to be a bit more of a balance.
Yeah, I must admit, when this message when the message came through, my instant thought was, wow, that's amazing. I think that the teams in this league, in this setup at Epsom Eagles, are really lucky, right? And I'll probably stand by that because I think that's amazing. But where I think things have got to this point, it's not down to the kids, right? The kids are competitive most of the time. They do want the competitions. When we ask our boys, the fact that we've won a tournament, what's your standout moment? They will all say winning the tournament, right? It's a visceral emotion that they have, and a memory it's almost a core memory for them, even at such a young age. But it's the parents, it's the coaches, and by coaches I mean volunteer dads most of the time, that don't really know what they're doing, that can cause the issues. And that's where we've got to, where if you put competition at such a young age with inexperienced volunteers, it's going to go one way, and they are going to be way too serious, and it is going to affect the development of these kids. But that's why I like the fact that they are saying, leave the coaching to us. You help out as a volunteer, but we've got the proper coaches. They're not going to... It's competitive because they know exactly what they're doing, right? And I think that is super powerful. If you could get the whole UK like that, amazing. In reality, is that going to be the case? Not probably in our lifetime, genuinely. So I think I love the model. The winter football to summer is something that we've debated quite a bit, and it's incredible that they're managing to do that. But to be able to scale this across the UK is pretty much impossible unless a crazy amount of funding comes down.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the fact that it's challenging a little bit the sort of status quo, and I think that we could definitely find some sort of middle ground that would work for everyone. So this is Craig Honeyman. So Craig is a regular listener, and I wanted to shout him out because after 4 years of coaching a team, there's one promotion, and in his final game before stepping away, his son scores the decisive goal, albeit not the cleanest finish, but he scores the winning goal. Full circle emotional moment with celebrations at full time and an awards day still to come. Craig has been massively supportive throughout since we started this thing, messaging. So big up yourself, Craig.
Also, classic dad moment that your son scores the decisive goal and he still had to be like, wasn't the greatest finished? It could have been better. Didn't track back once, but I'll give him that goal.
Yeah, superb. Love that. And I'm all for it as well. So we've got another message from a coach. His team go 2-1 down at half-time in a must-win game for promotion. In the second half, they turn it around to win 4-3, with the coach's son again playing a key role with a goal and assist. Big celebrations, champagne, and a real sense of pressure released. Yeah, love that. Love that. This is what we are saying. This is what it's all about. These are the moments that you do it for. So all the other ag and the sort of emotionally draining moments, those are the things that you'll remember though when you have those moments, right?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, every pro, every coach, every person, every guest we've had, when you look back at their grassroots days, they'll talk about the big wins, the cup moments, the finals. They're like, as I said before in the previous episode, like these visceral moments that are just core to you as a eventual adult. You'll just have these moments in your life, and as an adult, when your kids are going through that, it's just, there is nothing better, and that's why grassroots football is just a total drug when you're in it.
So we had another message from a parent. This parent, during an after-school session with around 15 kids, there's one player who stands out. This parent's looking for some advice. This one player stands out. He makes tackles, win man of the match. He gets noticed by another coach who invites him to play up an age group the very next day. The question is, how early should coaches identify and push down their players, and what are the risks of accelerating development too quickly? I mean, it's a difficult one because that sounds like a question for a professional coach who would know the answer to that. I think it's quite hard as a volunteer coach to know that. Really, for me, it's about that kid, the coach and their parents knowing that kids need to either play up a level or to be doing regular training during the week and trying to, find their level and challenge themselves. Again, the risks of accelerating development too quickly feels like a question for a professional coach. Ultimately, for me, my question would be, is the kid enjoying it? Is he developing? And they're probably the only things that matter. And as adults, we overthink it too much.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Just don't overthink it. Putting a kid up an age group to try and to develop them, it's not going to completely end their love of football. It might if it's the wrong environment and the wrong type of coach and he doesn't get on with the players, but that's not his life in football isn't over. You just move him out, you get him out of that situation. I think people do can catastrophize things so quickly, but I would just say don't overthink it. It's good to push kids, and I think listening back to the Chris Ramsey episode of putting the kids that are the golds with the golds, the silvers with the golds, so they can help push them up, but not putting a bronze with a gold because that gap being too far. I think that's one thing that's really hit home with me. So it's good to push players, it's good to develop them, not to put them in a situation that is just too far beyond their reach. So you just got to find their right level, and if that is going up an age group or changing to a different team and you feel like that's right for them, then fair enough.
Absolutely. So Christian Lang, he's sent in a powerful turnaround story. Last year, his daughter missed a penalty and the team went out early. This is of a cup competition. This season, they fought their way to the cup final and they're now facing a team that's only lost in 2 years. So first of all, amazing achievement. And Christian, let us know how you get on. Good luck in the final.
We had a bit of a reflection from a parent, a guy called Cliff. After watching his son, who's 10 years old, struggle in a game, Cliff admits that the podcast made him reflect on his own reactions and mindset on the sidelines, recognising how easy it is to be critical in that moment, which, I mean, it's amazing that it's actually helped someone, because I think us messing up most weeks is actually helping people to think, I don't want to be like those two twats, so I'm going to be better than them. And if that's doing it for you, then fantastic. We'll continue to be dickheads.
I mean, we've been trying to not be a dickhead for 3 years and a lifetime actually, and have been unsuccessful so far. So Owen sent a message in. Owen is an under-9s coach managing a mixed ability team that hasn't won a single league game in 2 seasons. Wow, that is tough. The league is unbalanced with a gap between the top and the bottom teams, and now the closest matched teams are leaving. He's losing motivation, but now knows if he quits, the team likely folds. So his question is, like, when you're in this situation, how do you keep the kids motivated, and how do you personally decide whether to keep going or step away? So first question, most important question, are the kids having fun? Do they still want to do it? Fundamentally, they're the kind of the only people that really matter. But when you're a volunteer, it's super difficult to keep doing this when you're not kind of seeing much success. And that is making it about the adult. But, you know, it is about the adult. They, a little bit, because they have to turn up and put themselves through this. And then they're probably getting grief from the parents. And, you know, I understand, I mean, if he wanted to knock it on the head, maybe it could just be, you know, obviously I'm sure he has explored other opportunities to join other leagues, or in the kind of way that Epsom Eagles and the way that MSB Walton, which is an episode we've already recorded that's coming up, could you have like an internal league for your teams, or could you create a little internal competition for the players, do little 3v3 tournaments, just have them as a training team, and then just do kind of little competitions within themselves. But ask the kids, ask the parents what they think. But I understand, man, that must be tough.
That must be so hard. We've heard, you know, versions of this, but not necessarily to that level. You haven't won a game in 2 seasons. That must be so difficult. Morale must be low for the players and the parents, and you know, ultimately it's all about the kids playing. But when they win, it kind of gives them a boost. And if they're playing teams that just aren't at the same level to them, then something does need to change. And I would also say, you know, just be as close as you can. You probably already are, but be as close as you can to the league secretary and see if there's ways around it, because it's not necessarily fair if there is just a massive gulf in ability in that league. They should maybe have smaller leagues, break it up a bit, do what they can. I think they've got an obligation to try and help out as much as possible.
We've got a message from Stuart Lang. He's frustrated that 8-year-olds repeatedly turn up to training without basic equipment like shin pads. He's considering introducing fines or punishments to enforce the responsibility. Go on, Stuart, my son. At what age, if ever, is it appropriate to introduce consequences like this, and what's the best way to teach accountability? So, you know, are you in a wealthy area? Because hit those bastards for all they've got. I mean, obviously, you're not punishing the kid. You're punishing the parents. I don't know. I don't think that's tough, man. It's annoying. It's frustrating.
It's so annoying. I feel like if we introduce fines, I'd be broke, because Raf leaves stuff all the fucking time. It's so annoying. It's a chat with the parents to be like, listen, guys, it has to stop. Like, leaving your shin pads, you just can't play. That's almost the punishment, and it's a punishment for the kids. But I guess you'd probably only do that once, or it's like we do have some backup shin pads, but next time we have to be more serious about this, because I remember back in the day, if you didn't have shin pads, you just weren't allowed to play. I remember the refs they seem to be way more strict. Maybe that comes when they get a bit older, which probably makes sense. But the idea of fining an 8-year-old is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, give me those Haribos, you little fucker. So Mikey Reynolds is coaching a player of suspected ADHD autism who shows real ability when focused, but can seem completely disengaged at other times. With a huge variation between training and matches, traditional motivation tactics don't always work. What are practical, real-world strategies coaches can use to better support and engage neurodiverse players in a team setting? So first of all, we definitely do not have any qualifications or credibility to talk about this subject. What I would suggest, Charlie Austin episode, he has ADHD. He spoke about this in one of our previous episodes, so go back and find that episode from Charlie. I mean, we're not the people to ask, mate. Can the club provide any support? Is there anything online? Just look what's out there and seek out experts that know. And also, by the way, if anyone else that listen to this podcast is coaching players with ADHD or autism, please, please, please reach out, let us know, and we can connect you with Mikey, and maybe you'll be able to help him.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, I'm sure that they would have done that. I think a lot of the time it's around the setting, the communication. And I don't want to give advice here because we are not the experts, but I think there are small little fixes that might make it a little bit easier for the kid and a little bit easier for you, that will try and get as much help for you and the parents and obviously the child as much as possible. So yeah, if you do have any people that can help, any tools, any tips, please send them through to us and we'll make sure Mikey gets them. Then we had a message from Richard Waterman, an under 11s equal game time coach, he's described him as, has hit a classic grassroots dilemma. His team has reached a cup final, but in the semi-final he leaned heavily on his strongest players to secure the win. Now he's questioning what to do in the final. Stick to his principles of equal playing time for all the players, or prioritise winning by playing his strongest lineup. Now this is a tricky one, isn't it? Because you do have these principles, and we say every week, as a coach, stick to your principles, and if the parents don't like it, then that's up to them, but you've got to stick to your core principles. And then a tournament rocks around. Things do change.
See you later. Principles? What the fuck are they? I like the look of that trophy. Who cares about principles? I replied to Richard on this, and my question to him was like, how did the players and parents react when you leaned heavily on the strongest players in the semi-final? And if everyone was cool with it, then I'd send a message before and say, look, I'm going to take the same approach. I said, Arteta's approach, I think he got it off Eddie Jones, the rugby player, but call the substitutes like game changers or finishers, like give them a role, make them feel part of it. I think they should get game time. How much game time is obviously at your sort of jurisdiction, but just tell the parents and players, this is what I did in the semi-final, going to do it again in the final, hope you're cool with that. We're all part of this, and at the end of it, like if we do this, everyone has played their part in us winning a trophy. And I think if you win and everyone has played a part, you've given them a role, then everyone's going to be buzzing. Even if they get 5-10 minutes or whatever, they will feel part of it.
Definitely. It's when, and I remember it as a kid, again, like a bit of a core memory for me, is playing most of the games up to the final, and then the final not getting a look in, not getting a single minute. And that is like an extreme version of how not to do it, in my opinion. But like you said, if you can give them a role, you give them some game time, they feel like they're part of it. They've helped you get to this point, whether that was in the quarterfinals and all the group matches or however you got there. They will feel 100% part of it. And if you do win, they'll be buzzing just as much as the kids that have played the vast majority of the game, in my opinion.
Message from Gavin Phillips. He shares a proper only in grassroots football story. So he turning up early for training with his son. He ends up jumping in goal for shooting practice. After giving a player some advice, he's rewarded with an absolute thunder bastard straight at his hand. The result, he bent his finger in multiple directions, but he finished the 90-minute session anyway, and then later discovered it was fractured, dislocated, and had tendon damage. You won't be needing your NordVPN subscription. Won't be getting your money's worth this month, Kevin. Anyway, 8 weeks on, still doing physio, but coaching as well. Anyway, that is putting your body on the line for coaching. Love that from Gavin.
That is a funny story. You can see it happening as well. You're teaching them how to strike the ball, and then they rocket one straight into you and injure you. Amazing.
So a message from Johnny Briggs. So Johnny wanted some advice. He's got a 7-year-old son who's sort of getting into goalkeeping. The next step in that journey is structured football. He doesn't want to knock his confidence though. So especially like some of the grassroots clubs that they may have come into contact with feel quite intense and hard to break into at that age. His question is like, what is our advice for getting him into football? And do we think there are enough beginner-friendly pathways for kids who start a bit later? So, first of all, my thing would be to take him goalkeeper coaching and explain to the coach if there will definitely be people out there doing that. Explain what level your kid's starting at, and they will be given appropriate coaching. Obviously, you can get in the garden yourself, look on YouTube, and just build up his confidence. But ultimately, that taking that leap, he needs to be around kids he doesn't know in those social situations and being challenged. And how does he deal with that sort of hierarchy and that you get? Like, you can't avoid it. It is what it is. But hopefully you can enter into a social situation where kids are at his same level. The coach is going to be great and help him build confidence, and then he'll be ready for a team. And I do, as far as I know, I would say there are definitely enough. I mean, we can only speak from experience in the clubs around here. There are so many clubs with varying levels of ability. And if you go to a club and you say, look, my son's really starting out, he might not be quite ready for a team. Can he come training, build up his confidence? Or is that a very, very low level because he's just starting? Can we join this team? There will be loads and loads of teams in your area. You can go to the local FA if you need help finding one. That would be my advice.
I agree, and things shift around all the time. We're starting to see it now. If you're like mid-season and there's no, places available in all of these teams, then just there'll be opportunities for them to play football, whether that's in these private academy setups, training. If you're fortunate enough to afford some of these things, which I would say a lot of them are quite affordable. There's some that go to the extremes, but most of them seem to be quite affordable. Then that gets them playing, and then when spots open up, then they have the opportunities. But yeah, I'm with you. I feel like there is, especially in our area anyway, there is lots of opportunity. It's just finding the right club at the right time. But I also think these private academies and training centres of excellence, or whatever you want to call them, they do sometimes get a bad rap, right? But actually, they're all linked, or most of them are linked with the grassroots clubs. So if they've got good relationships with those clubs, and they know that there is a spot opening up for a keeper, and they know your kid who trains with them, it's an easier route in, and they will look out for you most of the time.
So Andrew Holland sent in a message. He brings up the chaos of the Echo League WhatsApp groups. So putting out a message locally while you're away and getting replies from teams miles away, even abroad, amazing. And then you've got teams saying the score doesn't matter, or they'll play kids out of position. It's a mix of desperation and ego that could be worth a proper discussion. So I guess I guess there's definitely an ego and kudos and whatever that comes from playing in the Echo League, and teams wanting to trade off the results against one another, and also the travelling is just, that comes with that's par for the course, right, when you play in the Echo League. And I can understand that being an absolute pain in the backside. The reason we haven't joined the Echo League is, one, we don't qualify, like we're not in the catchment area as part of League Ramblers. We'd have to be closer into London to do that. And at this stage, it might be something that comes later for us, but at this stage, we don't want to leave League Ramblers, and I don't want to get up at 9 a.m. on a Sunday to go to Hackney to play a game. I'd rather
if you're lucky, it'll probably be like a 6 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the time you've got to get up as well and get there. Yeah. So, yeah, I can imagine that's an absolute pain in the backside. So feel your pain, Andrew.
We had an anonymous coach who shares two very different coaching experiences with his under-11s and under-9s teams that he coaches. One, he's worked with the same assistant for 3 years and has a great group of players and parents, which makes a huge difference. In his other team in the under-9s, he's largely on his own, doing all the planning, organising and managing with very little support from parents. He believes it's a good talking point on how having the right type of help around you really does matter, and how tough it is when you don't have that support. And I think we spoke about this a few weeks ago, didn't we, around if you don't have like an assistant coach, if you don't have the right group of parents, if you don't have that support network around you, I really feel for those coaches. And we spoke about burnout, didn't we? And it will only be a matter of time before that coach either has to like force help upon himself by forcing a parent to come in and help more, or they'll end up burning out and having to step away from things, because it's such a tough gig to do it all on your own.
100%. So I don't think this person is Jack the Cat 13, but we did get a message from a user, Jack the Cat 13. I think he's actually a parent-run, like it's a kid's account run by a parent.
Right.
And more that Jack's parent wanted to know, he wants us to do have a discussion, or maybe we need to do an episode around what to do during over the summer. Should kids rest, Should they start training again? How do you balance friendlies while also giving new players a chance to come in? It's something a lot of grassroots coaches aren't sure about. So one, we will definitely do an episode on this, and it is in the schedule. But just off the top of our heads, one, we don't have a break. The kids, this is not the Premier League. Like, they don't need a break. You want them to remain active, be outside, not on screens. Like, do they have a break from screens? Do you give them like 6 weeks off from watching telly? Like, you don't. So that's a negative thing you don't want them doing. So why would you give them 6 weeks off playing football or doing any sport? For me, if you've got the right environment, I don't see the need to have a break. They're outside, getting better, training, being with their friends. There's no downside to me. We have friendlies across the summer, really. I probably have a couple of months off, like actual playing games, but obviously we're playing tournaments as well. And I think we spoke about this before. For new players coming in, we probably, other than players where you're like immediately, they're not quite right for the team, we would normally give a kid 3 training sessions and potentially a friendly to see if they're right for the team.
Just on that training throughout the summer, everyone's going to be on holiday, you'd like to think, or hopefully they are. Everyone's going to have time off. Everyone's going to be unavailable one weekend. That's fine. Across the summer, we don't tend to have... Actually, we do, in our group. But most other teams that train throughout the summer, they're probably not going to have the full team. That's fine, It's not an absolute dead set. Everyone's expected to be there every single week. If you can't and you're away, then fine. But, I'm with you. You would take them to the park. They'd have a run around, so you might as well just carry on. And if the coaches are up for it in particular, then I think I can only see that as a positive.
Yeah, I just don't see what the downside is. They're playing football and having fun, so staying fit and they're being outside in the summer. It's brilliant. Sean Glennon is asking if we'll run another People's Puskas style competition. Yes, we will, Sean. Yes, we will. We've been speaking to VO about it. It will be coming later in the year because his scun? Because his son scored a goal, which was an absolute banger, which it happened to be the week he was away, and he wanted to give his kids some recognition and put it in the mix. But Sean and anyone else out there, keep those bangers in your back pocket because we will be coming back to the People's Podcast later in the year.
And then we had a message from another anonymous coach from a large local club who shares a nightmare first season after stepping into a big coaching role with his under-8s. He turned up prepared but had no access to proper equipment. The goals were locked away, miles away. Balls were wrong or half inflated, as in wrong size or half inflated, and support arrived late. The session quickly fell apart with poor behaviour and low energy, and it's left him feeling out of his depth despite previous weeks going well. He said it opens up a really useful discussion around handling sessions when everything goes wrong, managing behaviour at that age, which was under 8s, and how to reset and go again the following week. We've not been doing this for years and years and years like some of the coaches we've had on, but even those coaches have said to us, things will go wrong. Even the most experienced coaches, there will be the odd session where things go wrong. Being able to adapt to a situation is something that we've learned, right? And if a session's not going right, then you pivot to something else. But having those reps behind you, having the confidence, which you certainly have grown into massively, to say this isn't working, we'll move on to something else. And balls being deflated and equipment not being right and all of that stuff, that's where having the support around you to help, okay, Ben, you go and find the balls, you go and inflate them, or this parent do that, and I'll go and take the boys off and we'll just do some ball mastery or something simple just to keep them active. You just need the support around you, but I wouldn't feel, and I'm sure you'll echo this, Ben, but I wouldn't feel bad, deflated, all of that when a session goes wrong, because it is inevitable.
But I would say that that is normal to feel like that because we've been there, and you beat yourself up and you sort of think about all the things that gone wrong and what a disaster it was. But ultimately, the kids have forgotten about it 5 minutes after the training session, and the parents, there may be one or two, but most of them are like, right, what's the next activity have I got to get my kid to? Like, they've forgotten the training session themselves. Like, you're just childcare to them. They've just got to get them somewhere. They don't even care that you did any football. You're like, sweet, I got my kid for an hour.
It's so
What
true.
I'd say
Though.
is-
Your head goes to. It goes instantly to like the parents think I'm inept. The parents think I'm going to do that. Oh, they're going to move club, or like they just think I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm doing. Like most parents can understand that you've been put in a difficult situation, especially if you're a volunteer. You've been put into a difficult situation. Yeah, the equipment's not where you wanted it to be. The balls aren't in the they're not pumped up, or they're not in the condition you want them to be. All of this stuff. There's a million reasons why a session can go wrong. It happens. They need to lighten up if they have a major problem with it.
Yeah, don't beat yourself up. It's going to happen many more times after this. Just learn from it. If you feel like you could have done anything better, and try and do better next time. Talk to anyone else that you felt were responsible, like parents, or is there anything that the parents or other coaches or anyone around you that could have helped you? And just move on and just forget about it. Listen, you're a volunteer coach. You're not meant to be some mega super professional like academy coach from Ajax. Like, you're just a bloke who's put his hand up and you're trying to do your best. So relax. But that is it. And we had so many, and we really, really, really appreciate it. Love hearing from you. Love hearing your stories. We love your input. Like, can you share any input, advice, or experiences that can help other coaches? Can you point them in the direction of anything that can help them? Share a funny story. Give someone some props or recognition if you want to do that, and or if you're struggling with something, or you don't understand something, or you just want to see what the community's got to say, then reach out to us, and you can get in touch with us on email, which it's onlykidsfootballpodcast@gmail.com. That's it's onlykidsfootballpodcast@gmail.com, or come and message us on social. Instagram's probably the best place, @IOKfootball. That's @IOKfootball on Instagram. Drop us a message and we will get back to you. But yeah, we just love hearing from people, and we want to hear more of it, eh, Mike?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think we do hear a lot of the issues and people that are in need of some advice and stories, and we love all of that because then it gets us thinking as well and reflecting. But also use us as an outlet if you've done something amazing. And people just in general, most people anyway, they don't like talking about themselves, and they don't like talking about all the great stuff that they're doing, but we want to hear it. So you can remain anonymous if you want to be that guy, but send us all the amazing stuff. It's tournament season. I want to get hundreds of messages from people saying our team's won this tournament, or we've overcome this hurdle, we've done something amazing, because we love all those stories, and we can give the platform with our audience to shout you guys out. And like I said, if you want to remain anonymous, fine, but put your team in there. You don't have to put your coaching name. But yeah, we want to hear all the good and all the negative.
Absolutely. And if you enjoyed this bonus episode, let us know. Maybe we'll do a few more of these that just focus on listener questions and shout outs. But that's it. Back to normal. Normal service will be resumed. We're back on Monday, where you'll be getting advice from a top level coach, not a pair of plonkers from Leon C. Well, thanks for listening to this bonus episode. Make sure you share it around. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will see you on Monday morning. If you enjoyed the podcast, please take 2 seconds to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss future episodes. And if you want to check out our previous episodes, just click here.